Views and opinions expressed by the guests, listeners, and hosts of any program on WURD Radio do not necessarily reflect those of ownership, management, or advertisers of this station.
Welcome to the Green Hour on WURD at 96.1 FM and also 900 AM on the weekend, sponsored by Celia. I'm your host, Dr. Paul Hopkins. We're here every Sunday from 3 to 4 p.m. You can also find us online at www.wurdradio.com and in the community. My co-host and health advocate, Bill Morgan. You there, Bill?
You got it, buddy, right here, man.
Each week we bring clarity to the conversation about health and environment. We encourage clean living from the inside out. A centerpiece of this is maintaining a healthy lifestyle and getting informed about the connection between good health and what is happening in the world around you. It includes what you consume, what you wear, what products you use to buy, how you clean your home, what you drive, what you purchase, and the decisions you make every day. On the Green Hour, we'll focus on a key part of our social integrity. It's how the Green Hour will focus on how the people and the planet are one. Without further ado, welcome, family. All right, Mike Moore in the house. How you doing there, brother?
What's up?
I can't hear him. Did you hear him?
Can you hear me now?
Mike is hiding in the back. I don't hear him at all.
He's man behind the applause.
Can you hear me now?
Bill 1L Morgan, how you doing, my buddy?
I'm doing well, man. Great day here over in Jersey. Great.
Yes. You know, we had some spring-like weather this week, and everyone took off the tops. You know, enjoying that sun. Right. You know, got a little preview. Got a preview.
Yes.
And then it got a little chilly again. You know, so. This is when the weather is like breaking because, you know, family, we are doing change of seasons. You know, as a thing we do here on the Green Hour, we talk about the change of seasons, which is the equinox. You know, you had to turn your clocks back. Hopefully, y'all on time today because, you know, we have to move the clock forward. We're springing forward.
That's right.
And from this, you know, now we're coming to March the 20th is going to be the equinox, which is equal time, equal day versus equal night. So now days are going to start to get brighter. So now you're going to get more daylight. I believe our sundown today is about 7:07, somewhere around there. So what's happening is the days are going to get a lot light, more light during the day. So what does that mean to you? That means cleanse, change of seasons. You know, we do change of seasons because change of seasons is very important because we have to clean the colon. We've said this on this show ever since we probably started the show. I talk about cleansing the system and how important it is. I did a show yesterday on the Dr. Paul Holistic Health Show about how they're looking around the world. There were pathologist reports that came out last night, this week, And these, of course, the pathologists, the special MDs who look at the fluids of the body, how bacteria, virus, and things like that move about. They do a lot of the inside testing, and they went to the different places in the world, and the numbers came back, and they're still blowing everyone's mind.
Wow.
And it's dealing with COVID, and I want you first to go into, we're going to have you go into the COVID numbers, but then I want to go into, again, because I've got a lot of calls on this one, how we're looking. They looked at the different cities, different states, and how they were compared to other countries, man.
Oh, wow.
At the same population, with the exact same population, how the numbers were dramatically different. I mean, they were so different that it was phenomenal. They're saying, well, what is it? And they're going back to seeing it's what the people are eating, and that also goes to the fact that, they even did one and showed the population, and they're saying Black people, Latinos, indigenous people are having more issues in these issues. They're showing it comes down to what our food diet is. Wow. So I want to go into this thing because we talked about it yesterday a little bit, but I said, it's so big that I have to break it into 2 shows because of that. It's such a serious point with our people. We have no assimilation. And when you don't have any assimilation in your gut, you can't possibly feed the body to protect your body from all of the dis-ease and things that are coming against you. And that includes any microbes, whether bacteria, virus, fungus, septic, parasites, whatever. So you have to now get the gut in order, like we've been saying all along, not just a one-time-a-year thing, y'all. You should be doing this every change of season. So we're going to go into that. So Big B, give them the COVID numbers that we're going to do, because this is one of the main research locations that I went to get a lot of the data, and I compared this data with the pathologist report. So,
it's interesting that you should even bring this up, because as you remember, I was a pathologist assistant when I was in the Army.
Yes.
And when I go back, and that's amazing how this stuff just sort of flooded into my head when you said that just now. And I remember the different kind of polyps when I would run the bowel, and we couldn't figure out, the pathologist could not figure out where these polyps came from. It just sort of popped up from the gut all the way through. So all that stuff just sort of came to my head just now. All those years ago, man. That's an amazing thing. Before, we don't want to get off on that. Okay, let's go with the numbers here. As of 16 minutes ago, guys, I'm looking at, these are worldwide numbers right now. Total confirmed cases, and by the way, the place we get this from, our resources, that is ncov219.live. That's ncov2019.live, okay? And the young man put this together and really did a number, knocked it out the park. Here we go, total numbers. These are confirmed cases, 120,275,916. Total critical cases, 89,621. Total deceased, 2,662,581. Total active family, 23,663,880. And the total recovered, Mike, here we go. Keep on. There we go. Right here. All right, total recovery, guys, 96,815,991. So something is happening, right? We are just not here.
That's right. That's right. So family, I want to go over these numbers again, Bill. And I want the family, those who did not get it yesterday, this is the time to get it again. Just so you can sort of pack this in your mind and sort of wrap your mind around this. Some of the issues that you may be having. You might be on a high blood pressure. You may be on a diabetes medication. You may have been, with something like a low blood count, or they're saying that you're anemic and you can never find out why. You may be tired all the time, saying, I don't know why, I'm always tired. Well, guess what? It's going back to the gut. I mean, Big B, they're talking about some incredible things. So let me just give you some numbers, for example. Now, they were looking at this specific thing. They looked at based on geography and what they were eating in those areas. So they did a population, and this is exactly what I talked about yesterday.
Right.
They took, for example, Florida and Taiwan. Both have 22 million people. Got it? And then they looked at what the rate of how this COVID was affecting their areas. Got it? So in Taiwan, 22 million people, 955 infected. 955, just 955 people. And in that case, it was about, I think it was only at the time that I did this, it was 9 people dead. 9 people.
Wow.
Out of 20 million. Let me see. I don't know if the number is, I'm sure it's changed now. And then we looked at Florida, same thing, 22 million. And the population, 22 million. Guess how many? 1.9 million people infected.
Wow.
32,000 dead. Now, what was the difference? What they were looking at? They were looking at the diet of, someone from Taiwan versus Florida. Of course, in Taiwan, they're eating a lot of rice, a lot of sweet potatoes, beans, squash, and seaweed. And they're getting a lot of trace sea minerals from out of the ocean, from those green drinks. We talk about the seaweed.
Yes.
We talk about that and how those are the building blocks of the cells. A lot of the trace minerals are right out of the ocean. You know how I always talk about the ocean, land and sea.
Yes.
So and they also looked at Florida, which is really a typical American diet. Where primarily we're eating 40, 50 to 60% wheat, bran, and oats that are gluten-based. That's it. They said if there's anything that we found that was very common, it was the gluten. And, everybody's trying to stay gluten-free right now. But here's the problem. Some of the gluten issues are getting so high that even when they say it's gluten-free, the problem is that it's on the same lines as food that's non-gluten. So that's where it's picking up the extra gluten from.
Okay.
So it's got to a problem to the point where people are saying, well, wait a minute, this was not supposed to have gluten in it. But it does when they research, because it was made on the same lines with the other products. So that was the first one, Florida and Taiwan. Then they took the UK and Thailand. They went to Thailand, right? And they said, look, 67 million people in the UK and Thailand, right? 60 was around 69 million. So we're around there. Infections were 4.2 million in the UK. That's crazy, man.
That's crazy, man.
That's crazy.
Dr. Paul, that makes no sense.
In Thailand, 26,000.
Oh.
UK, well, in Thailand, it was only 86 people dead out of 69 million people. There was only 86 dead, right? Only every life is important, but 86 dead compared to the UK, 125,000 dead.
Wow.
And remember, the UK is pretty much the foundation for where a lot of the gluten happened. Because gluten is the capital. That's where the wheat went around the world, where the sailors took it around the world, and gluten started per million right there, right in the UK. Then we went to Mexico. Mexico versus Japan. Okay, Mexico versus Japan. Now we're looking at still a population of both Mexico and Japan, 127 million people. Of the 127 million people in Japan, 444,000 people infected.
Wow.
Of those 444,000, 8,400, somewhere around that number, actually deceased. But then we went over to Mexico and we saw the same population, which is around 127 million people, or
I got you.
A little bit more, infected 2.1 million, and deceased 193,000.
Wow.
Deceased. So we're looking at a same population, different food choices, and what do we see? We see 8,400 in Japan deceased versus 193,000 in Mexico. What's the difference? Wheat, barley, oats. The white flour products. Everything we talk about, refined sugar, refined oil. A lot of tortillas and things like that. A lot of the paste and things that are used, but a lot of gluten issues. But yet And we got what? Rice, sweet potatoes, things like that, beans, squash, seaweed, things like that. Now, last scenario I gave was New Mexico versus New Zealand. Okay, now this is really out the box. And this one was based off of looking at, remember, you got population are totally different here. We got New Mexico. This is New Mexico. Population about 2 million people. New Zealand, 2/3 the time, more people. 5 million people population. But in New Mexico, the infection rate was 187,000 people. Infection rate in New Zealand, 2,422. Disease rate in New Mexico, 3,849 people dead. But in New Zealand, 26 people. Did you hear that, B? Out of 5 million, 26 people.
Look, I'm hearing that, but it's not going to be off my socket because that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's just going back to, again, they're looking at the gluten. Here it is. Talk about how what happens in your intestines is the villi or the villa. Right. We talk about the circadian rhythm. The circadian rhythm is the cycles that we talk about. And if you want to get this, family, you can go right to my website and just download, go to Dr. Paul Herbs. That's www.drpaulherbs, HERB as in boy, S as in Sam.com. And go to downloads and download that circadian rhythm chart. And you can see right on there, there's a cycle in there, it's an assimilation cycle. And that's approximately 7 p.m. and 4 a.m. That's the time when the body's assimilating all the nutrients, okay? That's also in that time when the villi is the most active. It's also that time where the high peak with the pineal gland is firing off and you're going into that, that deep REM sleep. That's the time when you're processing, right?
Yes.
You can see the time. That assimilation happens in your gut. Little hairs like fibers are taking the nutrients out of the food and bringing it into you. But when this gluten gets a hold of it, and this is the glue that sort of keeps the stretchiness of the breads and things, and it's the kind of goo. It's almost like gluten. That's what I'm calling it, gluten, like goo. It's actually just like makes it stretchy. It gives it elasticity. It does all those things that it makes it good to market, but it's bad for your gut because now it covers the villi. Now you can't absorb no nutrients. Now you're malnutrition. Now you can't, and it sort of blocks that area. And here's what it's doing, Big. This is one of another things they were finding, destroying the villi to the point where it's wiping it out totally. It has it has no fiber at all in the intestines, so you can't assimilate nothing.
You know what's so interesting about that? Because you've got to remember, there are nerve endings that come to the end of that villi. And if it's gone, there is no signal that can be transferred to let the body know that the nutrients are gone.
You got it.
That makes perfect sense now. Yes.
Now, here's the other part they were finding.
Yes.
Now, when that happens, now you can't assimilate the nutrients. Then the bone marrow dies because they're too narrow to actually create that ability for bring you out of that crisis to assimilate that nutrients. So now you can't produce the white blood cells.
Yes.
Make white blood cells. That's what makes the antibodies to destroy things like viruses, bacteria, fungus, parasites, and any invading microorganisms in the body. Starts with the bone marrow making that proper blood, and which is the anti, with the white blood cells, the leukocytes. It can't do it now. So it goes back to now saying, wait a minute, now I understand. Why certain people are having issues and other people are not, because their guts are out of order. And then they got the bloating, diarrhea, all those things. I'm going to go into more of the things that I'm going to say. These are some of the symptoms that people have, and we're going to go into that in depth. We got Rick on the line. Brother Rick?
How you doing, gentlemen?
Brother Rick, you there?
Mike, you can't hear him.
Hear me? You can you hear me now?
You're very low, very, very low.
Okay, I'm going to run this.
Okay, go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Rick. We'll get you.
A little better. You got a little better.
I just want to say, after listening to that last show of the gastroenterologist, that if you have trouble with the American police and secret services and they assault you with parasites, most gastroenterologists will not make the diagnosis. I speak from experience of 17 years. And I say to young people, and especially young men, Chadwick Boseman did not die of a freak colon cancer situation.
Okay. All right. I hear you, brother.
It's time to take care of our diet and look critically at the food system there in America.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hear you, Rick, and I definitely appreciate you calling, brother. But we can't confirm what the situation was. I don't remember seeing. Bill, did you ever see a
No, I never see anything on Dr. P.
So I really can't go into that on what was that, brother. Rick, I appreciate your call always with some insight, brother. But I can tell you right now, these numbers don't lie. When the numbers look at around the world, It makes sense when you talk about this stuff that's actually mass produced for the purpose of industrialization. And then when it gets to the gut, it affects the body where you can't assimilate nothing. It's literally blocking you from getting everything you need. And, and that's where it stops the body from producing the proper things. That's why they were saying, like the children being, like a lot of the children weren't affected because a lot of the children have their gut situation. There's a lot of children when they're very young. Like they were talking about, I think they took a demographic of around the 3-year-olds who actually, if they were getting the COVID, they just actually had mild symptoms. They fought it up so fast because literally their intestines actually are not blocked. They can produce the proper white blood cells and then therefore fight this thing off real fast, and therefore it wasn't staying long. So in a lot of issues, when they talk about those that are more susceptible to COVID, they're going into who have suppressed immune systems. A lot of that immune system is being suppressed because of what you're eating. It's in your gut. It's in your gut, family. All right. We got to take a quick break, but we're going to dive into this a little deeper, and this is about the gluten. I want to hear from you today. Talk to me about what's going on. Give us a call. I want you, Bill, when we come back, we're going to start taking some more callers, and we'll get into this gluten thing. And what we're going to do, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. This is Dr. Paul and Bill 1L Morgan. This is the Green Hour. We'll be right back.
Yes, this is not a fad for us. We will not resume our regular programming when things die down. We're not black to help our bottom line or because it's politically correct. We're not joining a fight. This has been our fight, our message, our people. Black lives have always mattered here. We are undeniably, indefatigably, unapologetically, permanently Black Talk Media. WURD.
Pollock Herbs and Vitamin Center, 5925 North Broad Street, open Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. This week's special, 20% off, old-fashioned Georgia Pine Turpentine, 4 ounces, Immune Essentials, 32 ounces, Acidic Dry Tea, all 20% off. That's right, you got to say the key word. I listen to Dr. Paul in the Green Hour, and you got it. Also, they carry yours truly, Dr. Paul's Green Drink, Colon Cleanse, and Eliminator, and Dr. Willard's Water. But this time, you got to say that magic word, family. Dr. Paul Show or Green Hour, and you got it. Pollock Herbs and Vitamin Center, 215-549-4372, 215-549-4372.
I went to check on Pop today. We put our hands up to the glass as if we were touching. But really, the only touching part was that we both tried to smile.
That's no way to say hello or goodbye. COVID-19 vaccines are here, but until enough of us are vaccinated, we'll all still need to help slow the spread. Keep a 6-foot distance, wear a mask, and avoid indoor social gatherings. Learn more about vaccines and slowing the spread at cdc.gov/coronavirus. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
The Black Words Book Club. WURD Radio's new monthly conversation on books that explore the African American experience through social, economic, and environmental justice issues. Tune in the second Tuesday of every month on Evening Words with Nick Taliaferro, 4 p.m. till 7 p.m. For April, WURD Radio is partnering with the Free Library of Philadelphia and showcasing their pick for its annual citywide reading program, One Book, One Philadelphia, entitled The Tradition by Jericho Brown. Be sure to listen live, as Nick Taliaferro will hold a contest for a giveaway book bundle that consists of 4 titles from Kensington's Defina's Authors of Color's newest release. Don't miss it. Tuesday, April 13th on Evening Words with Nick Taliaferro. Attention for WURD members. Get your copy and receive a 20% discount when you purchase at Harriet's Bookstore or Hakeem's Bookstore. For more information on the Black Words Book Club, visit wordradio.com. The Black Words Book Club is sponsored by Defina. Defina is an imprint of Kensington Publishing Corporation, America's independent publisher, concentrating on authors of color. You're listening to The Green Hour, exclusively on WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, Black Talk Media.
And we are back. This is Dr. Paul and Bill 1L Morgan, The Green Hour, and today we're talking about again, following up with the research that has been coming out about the gluten and the effects on COVID-19 and how it's affected those around the country, and those with the highest numbers or the lowest numbers are gluten-free. You know, they're actually having these things where you can get more in your diet of the things that you know, the rice, the wheat, you know, not the wheat, but the rice, sweet potatoes, beans, squash, things like that, seaweeds. We always talk about, you know, the different types of things. No matter what you have, there's plenty of things that you can get. But we say be very mindful of your labeling. See, in America, there's no mandatory labeling laws. So now we have to be on guard. So when you see the certain things, I want to give you some of the things that foods that contain gluten. And with that, not everything on here absolutely has gluten, but maybe on the lines where it's been added to.
Yes.
And that's big. You know, sometimes they're adding stuff and it's on the same lines with other things. Like the big one is oats, man. Oats is actually, it's been hit real hard. Like your oatmeals, you know, I tell folks right now, the oatmeal, the problem with it is that it's on the same lines. And it actually is on the, you know, the same lines where the foods that are produced with gluten are on. So it's picking up that gluten in there. So it's messing up that. Plus they're pre-spraying a lot of the oats also with the glyphosate. We haven't even talked about the GMO factor. I would love to see this report.
Man, yes.
The pathologist with the GMO factor. I want to see, I'm going to research that and see how that's affecting the piece, because we haven't even gotten into that, because a lot of the gluten things that are happening, here's the things that you can look forward. So I hope everyone has their pen and pads, and I want you to go into here. Grains, whole wheat, wheat bran, barley, rye, triticum, spelt, kamut, couscous, farro, semolina, bulgur, farina. Bill, this is some of the stuff that's even in the health store for us but you just got to make sure, family, just make sure it says, you know, on the packaging, it says gluten-free. Got it? Wheat germ, crack wheat, matzo. Everybody have heard of matzo, right? Processed grain-based products would be things like crackers, bread, breadcrumbs, pasta, even seitan, wheat-containing soba noodles, some veggie burgers, cookies, and pastries. So we just have to really be on the out. We're looking at some of the things that have, just make sure, family, that is saying gluten-free. I'm just going to really stress that, because of the fact that we're in a situation where there's not enough labeling and legislation to protect us. So this is what's causing a lot of our problems. Last one, foods and beverages. So barley, malt, because they were talking about how, you know, of course, when you're in places like Mexico, you drink a lot of beer and stuff. So that's the barley, the malt vinegar, soy sauce. Got it? salad dressings. I know people saying, well, it's like I can't eat nothing. And that's exactly the point. Sauces and gravy, thickeners and flour, bouillon, some of the broths. You know, this is why some of the people are saying, well, I can't eat anything, but only I can take a little broth when someone's really sick. But if that broth has a lot of gluten in it, that's not good for that person that's sick because they can't assimilate the nutrients. So here you think you're doing something good by giving a broth. You know, Grandma always gave you a broth when you were sick to bring you back, but not anymore because of this issue that's going on with this gluten.
You know, if I may, Dr. Paul, allow me just to say this for a lot of my colleagues who are part and live in the blue zone. You understand where I'm going with this, right?
Blue zone. Yes, absolutely.
You know, there are folk who are living in that blue zone comparatively to Japan and Loma Linda and some of the other places around.
Right.
But that being the case, folk, if you don't take the time to do what we're talking about today, you know, gluten has been a big part of the invasion of that lifestyle. So we have to be very, very careful in the things that we ingest anymore. You know, we've been sticking by the so-called the original diet, but then we're coming to all these other we've been talking about over and over again, the genetically modified foods.
Yeah.
And if we're not careful and we don't do our homework, a lot of us are going to get caught and things are going to sneak up on us, and we'll begin to start getting diabetes and all these other things that we've been talking about here for the last few years.
Yes, absolutely. So last few things, certain spice blends like flavored chips, certain spice blends, flavored chips, beer, certain kinds of wine. You just got to look for those labeling family where it says no gluten. And the effects of gluten on the diet. So here's where it gets real deep. Now, when they started seeing those that, you know, were taking, you know, these foods and heavy on these things, that's where they were saying, they were looking at COVID-19. And they said when people are actually taking the shot, even when they're taking the shot, you're still making yourself high risk because you are high gluten eaters. If you have high gluten, you can't break it down, and therefore nothing can be effective in working for you.
Correct.
It's all based on the immune system. That's why we always talk about build the immune system. Well, how do you start that? By cleaning the gut. So you got to go back into that thing again. So listen, we want to hear from you. Bill, give them a number to call in. And they can call in and have questions, concerns, anything they want to make or leave out. And we're trying to get into this thing with the gluten, y'all. We got to clean the gut out.
Indeed.
Have something, and it doesn't have to be any specific. It could be any of the greens. I mean, it doesn't have to be my greens. It doesn't have to be my colon cleanse, my parasite. There's a lot of brothers and sisters that have a lot of good.
Yes,
they got the sea moss. Now you know why the sea moss is so good.
Indeed.
Because it mimics the culture of the people from those islands, and they showed that if you live around those areas where there's water or sea, they were having the most results because they were getting that trace mineral from seaweed.
Yeah.
Wow, this is amazing.
Yes,
this is amazing. That means people always talk about how when you have sea vegetables, you start to get your digestion together. Now you start to have, flatter tummies, now your digestion moves, no more constipation. That's because there's energy now in the gut. So, Bill, give them that information, all right?
Yes, indeed, guys. You can, if you're in our local calling area, you can reach us right here at, 96.1 FM, 900 AM WURD radio. And that number is, if you're local, 215-634-8065. Again, that's 215-634-8065. And if you're out of the calling area, you can call us right here at 1-866-361-0900. Again, that's 866-361-0900, WURD Radio, Black Talk Media.
All right, B. Now, here's some of the side effects of gluten. So you may have side effects from gluten, and I want you to write this down, family, because this is the important thing. I gave you those foods that have it. Now, here are some of the side effects from gluten. And these are, I just sort of highlight some of them. It could be extensive issues because once you can't get nutrients in the body, you're going to have all kinds of issues. But here's some of the most popular of those issues. Digestive issues, which of course, that's what we're tying in with the digestion. Diarrhea, bloating, abdominal pains, constipation. Remember, constipation, we go back to, if you're not, when you eat, you should be eliminating. You eat 3 times a day, you should be eliminating 3 times a day. That's the cycle. That's the rhythm, circadian rhythm that we talk about. Especially right now, it's a great time to start, family, right time. Inflammation of the digestive tissue. So that means irritable bowel issue, Crohn's disease, all those things that are inflamed, even diverticulitis, all those things, parasites in this system. All of that is perfect condition for that stuff to grow. Also, skin problems. Skin problems, Big B. This one is really probably very much not even considered. But when you have skin problems, rashes, eczema, or any skin inflammation. You see the skin start to flare up one day?
Yeah, buddy, I'm telling you.
What you're eating. Yeah, absolutely. It's absolutely what you're eating. All right, neurological issues. This one's deep, B. Neurological issues tying into confusion, fatigue, anxiety, even numbness in the fingertips and things. And that means circulation. Depression, lack of focus, difficulty speaking and get your cognitive thinking thing in process. A lot of just cloudiness going on. Other things include things like weight loss, right? Hard to lose weight because you're always packing on the weight. Can't seem to get rid of the weight. Nutritional deficiencies. Can't seem to get the nutrition to stay where it is. Diminished immune function. Osteoporosis, headaches, and the last one, of course, anemia, which means you're just malnutrition. All right, we're going to go to a couple callers. We got Miss Whitaker on the line. Miss Whitaker? Miss Whitaker, you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
You can't hear me?
Yeah, there you go.
There you are.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're a little low. You're still a little low. Keep talking.
Okay. Is there any lab work that can tell you if you have too much of this gluten in you? And any measurements or anything like that?
I can't hear Bill. Can you hear?
Oh, no.
Yeah, try it one more time.
Okay. Is there any lab work, blood work that can be done to see how much
blood work that can be done?
Is there lab work or blood work that be done?
Yes.
To determine what? To determine what? If there's
how
any
much
glucose issues, gluten issues?
In your system?
Well, when you're doing this one, your side effects will show up faster than anything. So did you get those side effects I just told you about?
Yes.
Number one is constipation, diarrhea, bloating, abdominal pains. If you're not moving the digestive system or if you have skin issues, things like that. Also remember, another side effect is the fact that you're taking immune responsive if you have a chronic condition. You have a chronic condition, especially medication. All medications are immune suppressant. So that's going to cause another issue on top of what you're eating. So if there's any blood, there's not really anything you can do blood work. It's going to show some things like maybe some issues with probably blood dealing with the liver. That was something that you would have to actually check with those who are taking the blood for you, okay? Or if you're doing a battery of tests, to have them look at all your numbers. But I'm going to tell you that I would look in, just what your system, write down, family, cleanse every change of seasons. That's the way you get this thing. Watch
Important.
That's right. Watch the gluten, okay?
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Man, this is amazing. Let me see. What else was there? I had so much stuff, B. This kind of goes back into why, I have these conversations with God. I say, God, he said, would you want a little ball? I said, why do so many of these herbs have something to do with digestion? Now I understand. Some of those herbs, not to diagnose, treat, cure, prevent disease, just food for the soul, go back to digestion and actually start to repair the gut. One of them is marshmallow. Marshmallow. I ain't talking about the marshmallows you out there in the woods with this one stick. Not that one. No.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, what?
No. I'm talking about marshmallow root. This is actually an herb called marshmallow.
Okay.
And it's very good for the digestion and for anything that's going on. It repairs the gut, helps you get that thing together. But guess what? A whole lot of them do that, and they help too because they're alkaloids, and they go in and alkalize the environment and support the good bacteria and the good culture so that you can start to assimilate now. Now when you start to assimilate, you can break this down. And you remember, when you young, and these young folks, like I look at my son, right? He's skinny, he's
a rail.
Slim and skinny.
Rail. Makes me so mad. He's just a rail.
Slim, he's tight, and I told him, I said, now you better start eating right, because after a while, when you as you get older, you get more of these, products, processed foods, gluten, things like that. What? You're going to start to now not assimilate enough, and then you're going to hold on to some of this extra stuff, and then you're going to be able to process it. It's going to store up as fats and all kind of other things, and then next thing your body's saying, I can't use it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to store it up.
And those habits are set in. You keep doing all that stuff you did when you was 2 years old, and your body's saying, okay, I'll keep it in this over here in this suitcase, and which ends up being a fanny. Exactly. But you know what? Something, Dr. Paul, as I'm hearing you say what you're saying, the bell rings, because all of these things has to do what? Purifying the blood. And the blood is the staff of life, Dr. Paul. Yes. And with all these things doing what they do, as you say, okay, when it's working together, then guess what? It can't help but be right, but you got to get it right in the beginning.
Right, exactly.
Now, the question is, can you recover if you're in the middle?
Absolutely. You always can regenerate. That's the thing that we always talk about, regeneration. Okay. So bottom line, you just got to start to avoid the triggers. Those are the triggers. That's why we're giving you the triggers and looking at the numbers, seeing that, these numbers have everything to do with, culture. It has a lot to do with culture and the people that are in those areas. I'm going to come back. We got to take a quick break, but I want to come back and give you the highest states when the per million that are having the most issues with infections right now. And that's what? They all go back to heavy gluten eaters. All right, this is Dr. Paul. This is Bill Morgan. This is Green Hour. We'll be right back.
You got it.
Okay, Purr's new fire potato chips and cheese curls. They are spicy. Whew, they're hottest snacks yet. Hold on. Whew. But it's not just heat. There's some nice sweet and savory stuff going on too. Ooh, there's that heat again. It burns, but it burns so tasty. Ooh, that's hot. Find Hur's Fire Snacks at your store today. Whew, taste the flavor, feel the heat, break out the Hur's.
Enterprise Exterminators, located 4943 Wayne Avenue, specializing in lanternflies, termites, bedbugs, fleas, mice, and roaches. Do-it-yourself kits are available. Call now, 215-849-7070.
Hey there, all you ashy folk. I got the solution for your ashy skin. Nubian K Essentials all-natural body lotions at www.nubiankessentials.com. Also found at Hakeem's, 210 South 52nd Street, the Wayne Avenue Health Store, 5007 Wayne Avenue, and Cultural Exchange, 1450 Point Breeze Avenue. Or go to www.nubiankessentials.com and kiss your ashy skin goodbye.
You're listening to The Green Hour, exclusively on WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, Black Talk Media.
And we are back, and we're talking about today, your gut. This is part 2. Get your gut in order. We're at the change of seasons right now, and we always talk about what is a change of season, and there's a lot of different things that you can do. You can always have something that's just automatically cleansing. We wash our hands every day, but yet how many times do you actually clean your colon? And how often are you doing this, just evacuating it, and just sometimes even going into the fasting, B? Sometimes just got to shut it down. You know, sometimes we're into this seafood diet. Seafood, eat food. That's it.
I know that's right.
That's it.
I'm eat all I see. All that kind of crazy
that's
stuff.
That's all it is. You know, everything's open all the time. You know, but the refined sugar, refined salts, refined oil, you know, the sugars, the oils, the GMOs, all of these factors. You know, when we first started with this thing about a year ago, I specifically said, we're going to have a big problem here in the U.S. more than anywhere in the world. And I was saying that because I saw the amount of people who had digestive issues. They were having issues where you would see, for example, folks would have, and of course we don't have any mandatory labeling laws here. So people just kind of eating, and we just, you ever go to the store and this pack, you see folks with their shopping carts just full of stuff. Just stuff that you definitely don't need. They know that it's driven off of this sugar. And, you know, because there's nothing in it, man. I mean, literally, without just the taste alone, is nothing there. There is no nutrients. And your body's like, what is this? I don't know what this is. And therefore, I can't do nothing with this, Bill. But yet, you got places like the blue zones that you were talking about. And I want you to tell folks what the blue zone is. But there's a phrase now. I don't know if y'all heard about this, but there's a phrase now, B. Did you hear this, man? I just saw this here. They call them super centenarians. If you know, it's a super centenarians, not a centenarian, which is 100 years. They're called super centenarians, and they're on the rise. That means 110 years old and older. Got it? 110 and older. And they say that on the next 25 years, there's going to be more super centenarians. So centenarians, I'm sorry. And I'm saying to myself, where are those people? Where are they? And guess what? They're in those regions like the blue zone. So tell folks who have never heard of what the blue zone, because you talked about that one time before, the blue zone.
Yeah, you know, blue zone guys are areas around the world where there are higher than usual number of people that live longer than what you would call average. I mean, they are, Dr. Paul just talking about going into the centenarian age. And I mean, those folk, they live so close to the original diet. You know what I mean when I say that? The original diet, you know, we talk, there's Okinawa, Japan, Sardinia, Nicoya. Listen, there's a whole lot of places, and they're lifestyle driven. Okay, and people who ingest the diet, fruits, the nuts, the grains, talking about the very same thing that Dr. Paul and I be talking about here on the Green Hour all of the time. It is so important that this happens. Why? Because in doing so, you are going back to the exact thing that we are now talking about, bringing back the whole grains, that are culturally isolated, Dr. Paul. How about that? The families, no smoking, plant-heavy diet, constant moderate physical activities, there's a social engagement, you know, in legumes. And there's some issues that, healthy social circle. You know, people consume nuts. There's no urgency on your time. You can sit back and kind of chill sometimes. You know what I mean?
That's right.
And just be good people. Loma Linda, Sardinia, Okinawa. Guys, listen, that whole, there are 5 of these areas. There are 5 of these areas around the world. And I'm telling you, these folk know something that we don't know.
And you know what?
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, now, people are saying now, when they're hearing this, they say, well, Doc, wait a minute. What do I eat then? Well, that means that if you start to take on and partake in these foods and things that are in those blue zones, you do have to step out of the box. You can't just eat anything now with the foods that are here. You got to start looking at the labeling. What's on the label? Does it have any nutrients? Is there any food in here? So the blue zones, there's a website. Bill, you got that blue zone website? There's one that's called, and this is for family. I want y'all to research, because we always say the Green Hour, we have an educated group, Bill. We got folks that really are on top of it, boy. You better not go in the classroom with folks that listen to the Green Hour, because they will chop you up. In a heartbeat. That happens to us in the middle of the week, boy. We get cut up. It's called the bluezones.com. Just go right there. Give them the website, Bill.
The website is www.bluezones. That's one word, BLUEZONES.com. bluezones.com. All right, and they have Blue Zone lessons. There's a Blue Zone project. Then the original Blue Zones exploration. There's a whole thing there for you guys. Longevity test. There's a Blue Zone checklist. There's a happiness test. There's a whole course that's there for you that you can go in. They have recipes there for you. The groundbreaking book that you can actually order to kind of help you along with this sort of stuff. Okay. There are meal planners which will help you along those lines. So that when you do these things like these Daniel fasts and things that a lot of folk get involved with, it helps you to be able to do that, and so that you don't have to end up going out. Let's put it like this: it takes you out off the crazy path easily. But at the same time, give you something to replace what you've been doing, and it's tasty instead of just some of the nasty stuff that some people give you out here.
Exactly. And you know what? We have to get back more into, there's two areas that I say that because of all that happens when you live in the city, you get away from doing the very things that you used to do, but you don't do anymore. Yes. One is the agriculture piece.
Amen.
We encourage you to start your garden. Last week, I did a whole show last week on getting your garden together. It's a perfect time to get your garden together. The flavonoids. We talked about the flavonoids last week and how the effects of the flavonoids are actually helping with the gut. Now we're talking about the actual gut itself around the world and how people in those regions are doing better and living longer because of what they're eating, and it all go back to assimilation. If you can't assimilate it, then it's no good to you.
Yes.
So
this
true. This website gives you a breakdown. It gives you an organized, smart grocery list. You can go into nutritional foods, and they even have a meal planner. They have all the stuff is free on this website.
Yes,
it gives you free how certain foods that have why they work. What are the best ones for breakfast?
Yes.
Power energy foods.
Yes.
Things that reverse a lot of the problems that we're talking about. Soups, salads, casseroles, things like that. But alive food.
Yes.
This is the thing. Alive food. Now, one thing you mentioned on there, you had, what was the one? You said Okinawa.
Yes, Okinawa, Japan.
Okinawa? Yes. You said Okinawa was one of the places. And you remember, I gave out the Great Exodus. You remember?
I remember that, yes.
We talked about what is the other Exodus, not the one with Moses, but there was another Exodus. And that other one was when all the people or the doctors of the island of Okinawa left. You remember that? They left because they said there's nobody sick over here.
Yeah.
So it's not just happening.
Yeah.
It's something going on of what the people in the culture of that region are eating. And we talked about what that was, which was not to diagnose, treat, cure, prevent any disease, just food for the soul, that coral calcium. How about that?
I know that's right, buddy. Yes.
Calcium. Remember the coral calcium? We talked about the coral calcium
and
how it is actually around the entire island. It's around the entire island. And when it's around the entire island, they were using it and putting it in everything. They even gave it to the animals on the farmland.
Yes.
Everything.
Yes.
To flourish. And I'm going to tell you, when I do my green drink, I add a little coral calcium in there. Boom.
Shut the front door, boy. See, there you go.
You might emerald go boom.
Now that's what's up. See,
I add little coral calcium because coral calcium helps with the assimilation.
Yes.
Got together. You want to flatten that tummy? Yep, absolutely. Add a little bit. Well, add to push. That's going to push it a little bit more. And I believe that coral calcium has a lot to do with it also. So all of these things are, things that you can do to get out of those compulsive eating disorders. The pre-existing conditions that you have. There's a condition called Pica. You ever heard of Pica?
Pica. No, that was funny.
Pica. Look that up, y'all. It's an eating disorder. That means people just eat, and they'll eat anything, man. They eat all kinds of stuff. It's called Pica.
He'll eat anything, huh?
Yeah, they'll eat anything. It's because they can't assimilate. So it's a compulsive eating disorder.
Wow.
And it's something a lot of people are having. I get a lot of calls on this. People say, hey, I can't assimilate nothing. I'm hungry all the time. You know, I'm not losing this weight, and I'm always hungry. Assimilation problem. You got a gut issue. You got to get your gut right first. You want to lose that weight, cut that down, want to get toned, getting ready for the summertime. This is the perfect time, family. But B, that's it. Mike is giving me the wrap-up sign. We got
no, Mike, we just got started.
Wow. Out of this today, you know, you know, if it wasn't important, we wouldn't start to keep, you know, drilling this point in this issue.
Indeed, most definitely.
Issues that people are having, you know, the fast food is what's destroying us. You know, the easy access stuff in a lot of the markets and in places that just have no nutritional value at all.
Correct.
Every time you eat that stuff, it's going to be to your detriment. It's not going to cause you any life force. You remember, only life begets life.
That's life. So true.
Life. If you want life, you want to turn it around. Finally, you know, actually, some people say I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I feel you, but it's not going to start and go anywhere until you start to make the changes. To get up off the course, you got to make it happen, family. So I hope you got something out of this today. And Big B, you know, we want to still keep that on. I'm going to stay on this research thing because I tell you, man, these locations have everything to do with it.
My friend, more than you know. Yes, sir.
All right, family, so we got to close it out, and this is Dr. Paul, and if you want to get a hold of me, you can call me at 1-877-377-2854. That's 1-877-377-2854, or call me directly, 215-779-7355. That's 215-779-7355. We are still doing the RM3 full analysis. Get your 10% prepay offer that we're giving 10% off. You know, call those numbers, get your appointment in. We do have a cancellation list, so if there's a first call cancellation, you get moved up, you'll go sliding right in.
Yes,
also,
yes.
Like www.drpaulherbs.com. Find out what we're doing. We are still doing that family tree. That family tree is doing some stuff, man.
Yeah, buddy. You don't want to miss it.
Every Wednesday evening, 7 p.m., you get Big B. You can see his smiling face.
Oh, man.
And Big B and I, we're having the 7 o'clock. Put your information in, your email and your number, and we will send you a personal invitation for the login for the family tree. I want to thank our producers, Michael Ledbetter, Laura Lomax, our president, CEO, Sarah Lomax Reese, and the entire Lomax family. Hey, Miss Beverly Lomax, we love you. And we want to say to all those that are listening, we appreciate you so much, you know, for all the kind words. We get all of the emails, the feedback, the phone calls, everything, and we really do appreciate you also. So that's why we're here, to be a resource and cultural resource for you and your family.
Yes.
So Big B and Mike Moore is Mike. I can't even hear Mike today.
Mike's hiding in the corner.
I'll see you, man. Thank you, my brother. And Big B, I thank you, my brother, and, you know, thank you for all those stats and data, man. And listen, we will see you on Wednesday, all right?
All right.
Family, remember, be encouraged, and if you're breathing,
you got a shot.